We are live, everybody. Welcome, everyone, to episode 22 of the Daily BLP. Today we've got a good little episode in store for you guys. We're going to talk about a meeting I had yesterday with a local bakery looking for some IT support and how that went. It was kind of an interesting, different type of discovery meeting. We're going to talk a little bit about AI's impact on SMBs and what's going on currently. Do a little recap of the NBA first round playoffs, what's going on there, and talking a little bit about dealing with getting overwhelmed in your entrepreneurship and personal journey. So let's get right into welcoming our guests again today. Who do we got with us? We've definitely got Declan in the chair running the show. Matt's with us again. How you doing, Matt?
Doing good, Brian. Glad to be here.
Awesome. And Manish, are you there, bud?
Hey Brian, yup, I'm here. I'm doing good.
Good. And we've got Harshit with us again today. Harshit, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Good. Round 2 of your training, getting ready to be a producer on the show. Glad you are all with us today. So let's jump right into the day yesterday. Still kind of, I wouldn't call it slowly because it feels like I'm just wall to wall with stuff these last couple days. But yesterday afternoon, I had a meeting where I drove about an hour away from where I live, about a half an hour from our office, and a funny sounding community, if you're not from Wisconsin, called Fond du Lac or Fond du Lac. And there's a local bakery out there. And didn't know really much about them. This was a meeting set up by Bobby G from Arsenal. Thank you. Shout out to Bobby. Doing a great job, bud. So these guys are not like a local kind of donut shop bakery. That's kind of what I thought I was stepping into. But it wasn't. It's more of kind of like, bakery that are making lots of, pastries and baked goods that are going to grocery stores and stuff, getting packaged up and shipped out. And this company in particular, they were a family owned up until about a couple years ago, I found out in my meeting, and then they were purchased by a private equity firm. So they were acquired, and this firm has a number of bakeries around the country. I think they kind of stick mostly Midwest. I can't remember. Maybe they're down in Georgia too, but I think they're like in Ohio and stuff like that. But when they were acquired by this private equity firm, kind of their reach increased, their size, they're growing, but when it comes to IT and their network infrastructure to run the business, they've got full remote support from corporate IT staff, but they don't really have anything locally. So when like a new router or switch or someone's computer or something like that needs to get installed, the remote guys will get it all purchased, set up, and they'll ship it to them. And then it'll kind of sit in the office until the person I met with, whose name was Jared, until he's got time to do it. And if he can even do it, because sometimes this equipment is a little bit more advanced than he knows how to deal with. He's got to get on the horn with them remotely. And what would normally probably take a company like us maybe a half an hour to an hour to get done, it might take him 5 days, or more sometimes, because he's operationally running that entire show, as well as trying to help out with the IT stuff. So what they need is kind of an augmented approach to IT. They've got remote setup going, and that's great. But when it comes to getting things done locally, they're stuck. They don't have anybody that they trust or that they're working with. So it was a very quick meeting yesterday. It took me an hour to drive there from my home, an hour to get back, and the meeting was less than 15 minutes. He sat down and was like, hey, this is going to be probably a little atypical, but here's what I'm looking for. So we talked it through. We're going to go back next week, Friday, and I'm going to take someone with me to do kind of a technical assessment. I'll talk a little bit more, learn a little bit more about their organization, but we're not going to do kind of the normal present a full package of managed services to just take over everything. It's really going to be a 2-option thing. Either we do an hourly billable kind of approach to whatever they need whenever they need it, or we'll build in a kind of a flat rate model to take care of that on-site stuff on a monthly basis when they need it, whether that means scheduling someone to be there for a few hours every week to take care of these things or what. Not sure exactly what that's going to look like. We'll find out a little bit more what their vision for it is when we go back next week. But that's a really good example, at least in the IT world, of going in kind of expecting one thing to be the norm, but finding out when you get there, it's a little bit different. Didn't have that many notes necessarily from Bobby on that, so I don't think he knew that was going to be happening. He basically told me they have about 10 computers and a server and things like that. So it's a little bit, but though it was a little bit different than I thought it was going to be, it's actually kind of better because I really didn't expect too much out of it. I kind of just expected it to be an introduction. Hey, we already have IT, but thanks for stopping by. Glad we know you're there. If we knew you, we'll reach out. So not too bad there. I had another, also, this wasn't even on the agenda, guys, but had another meeting too with a lead that came in. I'm not sure, Manish, this would be a good question for you, bud, because I know you're trying to keep track of this stuff. So we had someone schedule on my calendar via a scheduler link, and it was for transcription and scribe/transcription. So I'm not sure if this individual, I didn't get a chance to ask him if he Googled, what he was looking for and he found us, or if he was on our mailing list. So this individual is a doctor in Illinois. He's a podiatrist, but he strictly goes around to nursing homes and helps folks in nursing homes with their feet issues and stuff. So he's looking for transcription because he has a transcriptionist that is he's had for the last couple of years, but this person's going off to school to get to further their education. He's not going to have time to do his work anymore. So his name is Dr. Hold on a second. I got to make sure I get his Dr. Aurora. He's Indian. I know that for sure.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember what his first name is. He goes by Rishi, but it's not a typical nickname. I was talking to Manny about this, but anyway, so I'm not really sure if how that lead came across, but I can send you the email address, and maybe you can check our campaign list to see if it went from a campaign or if it was a straight up Google Ads lead or SEO lead. So anyway, that's cool.
That's cool.
I love, even though I'm not used to it yet, I love when I get those meetings on my calendar that aren't coming from our typical easily trackable, lead sources. Like we have 360 leads that come in, and we have leads, that, hey, we know where these came from, or like our Arsenal leads. But when they just kind of show up on my calendar as someone booked a one-on-one appointment with you, wanting to talk about scribe services, it's like, where in the world did this one come from? But that's cool. So that means what we're doing is working. We just got to keep doing that, making the adjustments so they happen more. And then maybe we can hire some more people like me to do that kind of work. What is next? Okay, next segment for today. So did a little asking around what's going on with SMBs today, and found out that, we all kind of know that AI is a game changer, right? We all know that AI is a big deal, but there's been some recent reports and articles, and I don't have them cited here. Oh, this was from Salesforce. I do have it cited. Good job. All right. Good job, me. Salesforce recently reported, Salesforce being, I think, the world's largest CRM company. Don't quote me on that. We could probably find that out in a couple seconds, but I don't know of a larger CRM. I don't know of a more expensive CRM, that's for sure. We don't use Salesforce. Arsenal does, by the way, and they use it pretty effectively. So in this report, it talks about that SMBs are using AI, obviously, but reporting significant benefits. They're starting to use it. It is. Declan gave me the nod. It is the world's largest CRM. Thank you for that, Mr. Producer. Good job. We're seeing some reports. So some numbers are coming in. People are actually, talking about what kind of results they're getting. It's showing 91. This must be from, I'm guessing, Salesforce's clients. They're probably surveying them. 91% increase in revenue for folks effectively using AI, 90% improved operational efficiency. Those are pretty broad stroke numbers there. I'm wondering how they know that it's definitely AI that's doing all that. You know what I mean? Like, because a lot of things can affect a 91% increase in revenue, right? You could have higher profit margins. You could be offering new services, those kind of things. So it'd be interesting to actually read that article and find out, who exactly they were polling and what some of the more specific things are. So I don't know. I mean, we're trying to use AI. I know we've got some folks in the company that went out and kind of got trained on some specific platforms and trying to learn how to leverage it in our services. We're a very people heavy company, but it's very high touch, meaning a lot of interaction with clients, right, Manish? Even if we talk about digital marketing, it's not just getting access to platforms and creating content. Is a lot of, on a weekly basis, every few days, getting on the horn, meeting with the clients, finding out what's going on, what are they trying to accomplish, what's coming up in the next couple months, what should we be promoting, specific to their local environment, specific to their company, and the things that their hopes, wishes, and dreams for their practice, right, or their organization. If I was to take someone like 21 Medical, for instance, like, he's got things happening that we wouldn't know about unless we went out and talked to him about them, right? And kind of the stuff that he wants to do, like going to vendor shows and what's the approach he wants to take, what's his newest technology he's using in his practice and stuff. And I don't know, maybe AI can do that. I just don't know. I don't think it's there yet. What do you think?
So basically, Bran, what I think in marketing, uh, AI can help us as in marketing very well, but AI can't do marketing end to end. So when I create any content, when I write any ad copies or social media copies, I put the feelings that can interact and engage the audience and users and our potential customers or clients. That
Mm-hmm.
is the most important aspect that AI can't do that because AI don't have any feelings. So definitely we can give the prompt, we can create a prompt as per our feeling, it can help us to creating the content. Similarly, AI is helping a lot of part for the ideation of any blog or article, outline of any content and a script and anything. But when it comes to connect with your audience with the real feeling and emotions, where AI cannot help. And in marketing, the most important aspect that is emotion and feelings that we need to connect to the audience. Because if we are going to sell every time with our marketing perspective, we are going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to connect, we have to identify their needs, we have to identify their pain points where AI cannot, work. So AI cannot handle the overall marketing, but AI can be the helpful to reduce some repetitive tasks. Some repetitive task is like to let's say I have to create an email campaign every week manually, so I can automate my campaign once in a month. So I
Mm-hmm.
can create four different campaigns, and I can use AI for the content automation, like creation and everything, the automation of the campaign. So yeah, for answer of your question, so AI can be helpful in marketing, but it in digital marketing, but it cannot take over the digital marketing. So
Yeah,
it
not yet. That's
always,
for sure. I mean, the
yeah.
three things that I've got cited here that are kind of the most popular things for SMBs to be using AI for is, one, customer service automation. And I'm trying to think, there could be a lot of different things. I'd love to dive deep. Maybe one of these days on the show, on this segment, we'll just dive into these individual things and kind of learn specifically things like customer service automation, how that's working. Is it like just, again, taking away the menial tasks that the individuals that are responsible for customer service are doing, or is it literally, replacing the interaction of the customer service? I think that happens sometimes, but I think people see through it and it's frustrating, right? So if you've ever dealt with a bot, it can be very frustrating when the bot's asking you scripted, but people do this too. They stick to scripts when you just, hey, I told you the problem. Let's jump ahead of those things. I've already dealt with those things. Let's get right to it. But anyway, another one.
It helps, yeah,
Yep.
it helps in a certain level. Like
Yeah.
if you order food and you didn't get your order delivery on time, so you can raise your concern, and bot can help you on a certain quest with some
Yep.
certain questions. But if
Yep.
you want to talk with a real person and get the refund and done everything, where bots and AI is not working well.
Not doing
So
that yet.
that's
Yeah.
yeah.
So another one, inventory and workflow optimization. And then the last one, decision making analytics. I think that's one big one that, I find myself using if I've got a lot of different things that, I'll use AI to say, here's everything that I need to get done. Maybe help me prioritize or help me organize my thoughts. It was funny. I did this isn't a business thing. This is a personal thing, but I did this yesterday. And if you haven't done this, do this. It saved me at least, I would say, anywhere from a half an hour to 45 minutes at the grocery store. So my wife's down and out. I've got to do the grocery shopping. I'm trying to do less online ordering. I talked about this in the show yesterday, because this online stuff, it's too quick, too easy, spend too much money. So I took her to physical therapy yesterday, dropped her off. I went to the grocery store, but to prep for it, her list was long. It would have been at least an hour and a half of me walking around in circles. Oh, I forgot to get this over here while I was there. Because by default, when we make lists quickly, we just kind of vomit in our head what we need, right? It's like, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this. So I took that list she had texted me, copied it, opened up my ChatGPT app on my phone, pasted it in there. I'm like, hey, can you take this list, organize it by grocery category to help me be more efficient when I'm shopping for these things at Walmart. And what it did is it took everything on that list, put it into grocery categories like meats and frozen goods and dried goods and produce and dairy. And it knew, based on kind of the layout of Walmart, where everything would be. And it put those lists together in a way where I could go around quickly and just knock everything off my list. And I was done shopping for a bunch of items right at the time that Jen was done with her therapy in 30 minutes. So it would have taken me probably another trip to the store to get everything. So that was cool. I felt good about that. But that's just an example of, when you're talking about decision making and analysis, it had analyzed a list for me, it organized it for me, and it helped me, organize my day a little bit better. And I do these kind of things with this show. I do this kind of things with other things at work too. Matt, are you doing a similar type of thing as far as kind of analyzing data and helping you stay organized?
Yeah, I do a lot with analyzing data, things of that nature. Like I told you, is actually super helpful with my taxes, kind of with organizing
that's right.
different ones.
Yeah.
And then one thing I really I like to do too is kind of messing around with emails a little bit. Our ChatGPT, we've been using it for a while, so it's kind of learned kind of how I prefer to talk. But one thing I really like to do is, I'll draft out an email and say, there's a vendor right now where we're kind of having some issues with. And so I tend to be, in those case scenarios, a little bit, quote unquote, too nice, I guess you could say. So I need to be a little more stern with some vendors. And so I'll pull into ChatGPT, be like, hey, here's this email. Can you make it a little more forward, or can you make it a little more stern, things like that. And so I kind of use it to help me, I guess, change tones of emails and things like that, which I found pretty helpful.
Yeah, it's like, help me roll up on this cat and show them what's up.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. And it works, and it spits out some great things, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Really
I mean,
does.
it's what it does. And I know how you feel, because I can get the same way. I let my emotions kind of control it, right? And you can be, it doesn't have emotions. It can just be matter of fact. Hey, write me a quick professional thing to help me get this problem solved. But make it to where I don't sound like a jerk, So cool.
Yep, exactly.
Awesome. Well, it's like, it's those are some interesting numbers. I think maybe we'll swing back around on this topic again next week. Maybe we'll just do pick a day every week to talk about AIs. But I'd like to dig into this, increase revenue and improve operational efficiency, and dig in. Maybe we could find this article and because I just sourced it and kind of got the important information for it. I didn't have a chance to read it, and just understand a little bit better. Okay, how are SMBs increasing revenue by 91% in particular? And is there any takeaways that we could take from that to apply, or that the audience can apply to? Because like with anybody, a lot of people find out really cool things like this, but we don't have time to dig into it, because you start your day and you fly through it, getting everything done, putting out fires, doing what's on your calendar. You get to the end of the day, you have every intention of staying up till midnight working on things you didn't get to, but you get tired, you go to bed, or some new video game comes out that takes up your time, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, I didn't get anything done. That's not me, by the way. That's not me, by the way. Okay. So moving on, let's have a little fun. So it's playoff time. I think tomorrow we're going to try to hit on some NHL, but I wanted to jump into NBA. I haven't had a chance to watch any of these games, but it's kind of weird because, like when I was growing up, I couldn't watch every game. Like one game would be on the local station or something like that, but you'd pick up all the highlights on SportsCenter the next morning. I'd get up when I was in school. I'd get up at 6 so I could watch SportsCenter before I got ready to go. And those highlights on SportsCenter were like a minute or less. They'd plow through the highlights. But now if you go on like YouTube and you watch highlights, it's like 12 to 15 minutes of highlights. It's like all the made shots of the game, and they cut out all the missed shots, which is weird. It does weird things to your head when you watch those. You catch yourself thinking, man, did they miss any shots? It's like when you don't see the missed shots, you think everything is like, I think it makes the teams and the players look better than they really are. You get what I'm saying there? It's weird. Have you watched those longer highlight reels, Matt, for like NBA games or MLB games?
So I'm not really too much NBA, not really the highlight reels. I'll watch baseball every now and then.
Yeah.
I'm lucky I'm in a time zone here where I'm, the late games is still only 8:30 for me.
Yeah.
So I'm lucky over here where I'm able to watch most of them. But one thing that I did pick up is I feel like, I don't know, I see a lot of comparison to like Euro basketball and American basketball, and I feel like it's really shifted a lot to like these shooters are just crazy now. Like these 3-point shooters and things like that. Like everyone on the floor can shoot. So that's what I noticed though.
Yeah, it is crazy because I'm watching the highlights and I'm seeing some shorter shots and buckets in the lane. I'm seeing a lot of aggressive drives and dunks and layups and Euro steps and a lot of that kind of stuff. So they're getting to the hoop, but you're right. It's like, and again, watching the highlights, it's like, okay, hit a three. And these aren't just threes from the line. These are threes from like 10 feet behind the line. You know what I mean? And you see, and in the highlights, you see them take all these threes and they never show the ones they miss. So it looks like they make them all, but they'll make a three down here and they'll trot back down. They'll make a three back there and they'll trot back down. They'll make a three, and that's cool. And it's cool to see a 3-point shot, and I think when the 3-point shot was, brought into the game a long time ago, it revolutionized the game. But it was a skill set that was kind of locked into only a couple players per team that were really good at it, And now everybody's shooting them. I don't know if that's what they're just taking hundreds of shots today in practice and they're just getting really, really good at it. But now I think the pendulum has swung to the point where it's not irrelevant, but it's just not as fun. It's not as exciting. It's like I was thinking yesterday after watching a bunch of the highlights from the games on Sunday that, man, maybe they should take away the 3-point shot.
Yeah.
Because would they be taking as many shots from 40 feet if it wasn't worth an extra point? Or would they be working harder, to do the exciting things in basketball, like actually run a play and get a guy open and have him do a cool shot or something? I don't know.
Yeah. And it's a lack of, I feel like just that maybe not completely does it, but the whole 3-point thing really takes away the defensive part of the game too. I feel like it changes the whole game because most people, it's like they're not really in the paint there. They're more so like, okay, I got to kind of be in the middle here because I can't let him come in, but then you can't leave him far away because if you leave him far away, he's just going to shoot it. So
it's no man's land. It's like you're not going to defend a person at 40 feet, unless it's close to the end of the game and you're pressing or something. But because if you do, it's just going to keep everything wide open, down low. So I don't know. I don't get to watch enough of them. And I wish I could, because I do enjoy watching basketball, especially in the playoffs, because they're working so hard. But I tell you what, I got listed on here on the on the sheet, the games from last night. So I went through and I watched, like, the highlights are so long, I don't even watch the whole highlights trying to prep. I get like the last 3 to 5 minutes. But the Bucks are down 2-0. I mean, they're down to the Pacers. Now, that happens a lot in NBA basketball, because whoever's got home first, generally, you're winning those games. But of the 4 games last night, the Bucks are down 0-2. The second game, there was a close game. It wasn't nearly as much of a blowout as the first game, but the Thunder and the Grizzlies don't even look like they belong in the NBA when they're playing right now. If you want to see like a sad series, watch the highlights of that. The first game, they lost by like 50.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard of a playoff loss in the 50s. Like, you don't even see that in the regular season.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And they got good players, but I didn't follow the Thunder that much this year. But man, the Thunder just look crazy good. Lakers came back and beat the Timberwolves. I watched, the highlights of the first game where the Timberwolves just beat up on the Lakers in LA. The second game, the Lakers didn't necessarily outclass them. They just played a better game. But we'll see. And Knicks Pistons, I don't know. I think that's, in my mind, that's probably of all the games, all the series right now, is probably the one I care least about. I didn't even know I didn't even follow close enough to realize the Pistons being in the playoffs. They've been bad for so long.
Yeah, they had a crazy year last year. What was it? They were like 2-22.
It was really bad.
Season.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they turned it around this year, though. So good for them. But yeah, that's an interesting franchise.
Yeah, you can. But what I could definitely tell is the teams made adjustments from the first games for everybody, and for the most part, at least the Bucks, definitely I could tell they made adjustments, and they could have won that game. First game they just looked bad. Grizzlies, I don't think they have a chance. I think they're just going to get swept. I could be wrong, but yeah. And then Pistons is tied up at 1-1 too, so the Pistons got away with the win in New York, so that's pretty cool. All right. So last segment today, talking about a little bit more about what I covered yesterday with some of the stuff. I'm still figuring out how to juggle everything. So I figured, let's talk a little bit about prioritizing. It's something, especially in business, that can be tough, because when things just kind of start piling on, you find yourself just working on what I call the urgent things, not necessarily the important things. And then the important things stack up, and all of a sudden you find out that you didn't take care of some things you needed to take care of, and it's almost too late, or sometimes too late. Taxes being one of them, like we talked about yesterday. So, and with me recently, it's this managing home and work kind of thing, which is tough. And it's crazy, because the first 2 weeks, I just almost completely cut ties with work and just tried to work on the house and the family. And I thought I did pretty good. It was still pretty tough, because I always still had work in the back of my mind and always trying to sneak away to get things done. But now that my wife is starting to try to do a little bit more stuff, and I've disconnected more from the family responsibilities over to work, I found myself falling behind on more of the things, because home stuff is stacking up, because there's still a lot of things that my wife can't do. And the kids have been really good about helping, but there's still some stuff that they're not that great at either. And let's be honest, a teenager, a preteen, a 6/7-year-old, and a toddler, there's only so much you can count on them for, and expect them to be cheerfully excited to help out. So, so I was like, what are some of the main factors that, if you're just going to boil it down to things that we need to focus on in order to kind of prioritize, get organized, and move forward. One of them right away, obviously, I just said, is prioritizing. And that can be hard. I found some techniques over the past of listing things out and then picking the things that have to be done no matter what, and tackling those things first, as opposed to letting those sit and tackling the easy things that you can knock off a list. Because sometimes it feels like when you knock off those easy things, you're accomplishing something and you can get a lot done. But then in the day, the things that really need to get done aren't getting done. Another big one is delegating, right? And that can be tough. I just talked about it a little bit. I've had to delegate a lot to my kids these last couple weeks, and they've stepped up. I'd say for the most part, they've really stepped up and done a good job. And now that my wife can kind of get around a little bit better, I've delegated some of that back onto her plate, as well as friends, like friends from church, friends from school, people that we've met. They've all been super helpful. They've helped bring meals. It's not like we can't afford to have meals and stuff like that. It's like, it's the time. You run out of time. When are you going to prep them and get the kids fed? Sometimes you find out it's 7 o'clock at night and, I didn't feed anybody yet. But they helped out with that a lot. Giving people rides to places. I've got a couple things going on these next couple days where I'm like triple booked. How am I going to get, one kid to piano lessons, pick up with the other kids from school, and get Jen to her therapy appointment all at the same time while I've got an appointment out of town 2 hours away, right? So, and it can be crushing to think that you're the only person available to do all those things. So, sitting down, taking a deep breath, and then be like, okay, who do I have in my life, in my organization, in my friend circle, and even outside of that circle that people that, have always kind of been around and kind of made themselves available. You've just never realized that you could ask them for help because you feel bad. And that's a lot of the times what we find, like me and my wife, we isolate ourselves too much because, we just got our head down, either working or managing things. And there's people around us that really do want to help. So where you can, delegate. And then the last one is one of the toughest one is accepting imperfect progress. So, sometimes the result happens that isn't exactly what you wanted it to be. But you can accept the fact that you got something done. It didn't turn out quite the way you wanted it. Hey, the laundry's done, but some clothes ended up in other people's rooms that don't belong to them. Or, hey, I got the meetings done, but I haven't had a chance to put the notes in the CRM yet. I'll get to that. Or I'll delegate and have somebody help me with that. But if the progress you make has to be perfect all the time, what I've found happens is that you get stuck and then you don't move on. You kind of get stuck in this rut of nothing's working when it's working to some degree, just maybe not the way you want it to be. Matt, Manish, any input into those things that you guys have kind of experienced in your lives and work?
Yeah, definitely. Well, number one, I just want to give kudos to you. I know that's a lot, so just want to give you credit that you're killing it with all that going on. So good stuff there. For me,
Thanks, man.
Personally, I'm a single man, so I just have myself to look after.
You got your cat.
One thing, yeah, I do have my cat. And Scarlett. Yeah, my daughter, I should say, my daughter.
Yeah, right.
But the one thing that's really helped me is, giving yourself some grace, talk nice to yourself and give yourself the credit, because I think when you're running so fast and doing so many things, you can get caught up in what am I not doing, when instead give yourself a pat on the back of, okay, all these things I'm doing, giving yourself some grace, because not everyone's going to give you that, but you need to at least give yourself that, give yourself the grace, give yourself the pat on the back. I think that's been one thing for me, to just not be too hard on yourself with everything, going on and things like that. Because, if you're not going to talk nice to yourself, and, who will? Obviously, we have great people in our lives that will. That's more of a figure of speech. But yeah, that's the one thing for me is, giving yourself some grace, give yourself a break, and don't be too hard on yourself when you got a lot going on. That's one thing I kind of take away when a lot of stuff's going on.
That's awesome. Awesome advice. Manish, you got anything?
Yeah, Brian. So basically, I live my life on a formula of like I'm very grateful to my life, and I try to be always humble with the people, because when I was in third year of my college, I was doing my Bachelor of Technology degree. I lost my father, and my whole family was in trouble. So because my father was a government employee and his account and everything was seized, and we were like in the situation of saying crisis of food and everything. So I
Oh,
have
wow.
been troubled with a lot. Then I learned because few people in our relations came out and they helped us in a certain situation, in a certain time or period. I learned one thing in that situation: be always humble to the life, be always grateful, and always try to help people out of courtesy. If you have anything, whatever you have, if you can help to someone by strength, by money or anything, so do that. So that's what I learned from life. So I always keep focusing on that thing.
Great input, you guys. Grace and humility. I love it. Those are both very, very important attributes to remember to leverage every day in work and in life. So, all right, guys. Hey, this has been a great show. I'm going to close things out here. Hopefully you guys have picked up on some things today that we shared. I really enjoyed being with you today. We're gonna cut it for today, and we will see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining us on the Daily BLP. All right, everybody, take care.